The first thing we're gonna do is check that it's actually taking a charge and charges fully. And there's no indicator on the charger, but there is on the battery when you connect it. Now it should flash all the LEDs and then it should start blinking, most likely the top one. So. And before we do any repair attempt, we will charge it up fully and see that the charger and the BMS can charge the battery fully. But while it does that, we're gonna try and explain why Bosch batteries are complicated, even though it's just 40 cells, it's nickel and a plastic holders. Bosch has everything is custom for Bosch, of course. These are made to fit perfectly in the case. As you can see, there are a lot of pins over here that align with all of these, so they do not have to have any EVA foam or padding, or 2 pads over here for the BMS and 2 pads over here. So they have a little padding. The battery cell holder is made to fit the case perfectly, and it's supposed to go down like this. And they have holes in the bottom where every one of these is supposed to fit perfectly. And of course you can glue the cells together or use your custom holders. The problem is that you have to have the BMS on this exact location or it will not work. In many cases you turn the battery on by pushing this button to activate the battery, to activate the e-bike, and when it feels the e-bike is on, it turns the e-bike on. And then it keeps the battery on. If you just push it while it's off, it will just be an indicator. So having that button there is super important, and the BMS has to be exactly there. So my plan was to 3D print a replica of this, remove some of the stuff that I think is unnecessary. For Bosch, some of this is necessary because they have custom nickel strips and they have these pins over here. So they can just put down the nickel and it's perfectly aligned for their automated spot welder. However, these pins are in the way, and we don't have this kind of zigzaggy nickel. So I either have to cut away all of these pins to be able to put nickel strip like this and like this and like that and like that. Or you'll have to do ziggy-zaggy, 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 zag. Yeah, those are basically your 2 options. I've seen one guy on YouTube having a chisel trying to remove all of these intact. You could do that, but that's also a really good way to start a fire, so that's not something you do twice. You might get away with it once, but not fucking twice. And this nickel is really thick, so you have to have a spot welder that can support really thick nickel. This is 0.2 or thicker. So you will not get a good welding unless you have a Bosch quality spot welder. The way I usually do, I just cut away all of these little pins. I leave some of them, the larger ones, that will align it in the case, but you don't need like 30 pins, so it's enough with 4 to keep it in place. It will also be mostly kept in place by the top and the bottom pins. So these extra ones, it's just for to slide it in properly. It's just that this with the original holders is the way to go. I will try and 3D print something for this sooner or later, but we just repair this once or twice every year because Bosch is kind of rare in Sweden, and we do not even list them on our website because they are so complicated. We have to check that the BMS is actually working. This one is still charging, so yeah. But new batteries cost 800 to 900 euros. So there is a big incentive for the customers to get it repaired. We'll check the actual voltage. So let's see what voltage we do have. Yeah, 41.56 is probably as high as it goes. So we know it charges full and we will start repair in a few days. So now I have 2 empty holders and a battery I want to repair. Yeah. Very careful when removing EST. And these are just do whatever. And I want the negative and positive side here to line up. Yes. Hopefully these holders are not too small for some new GA. No, fine. Sometimes the holders can be too small and I'm already doing mistakes. Yeah, but it's early in the morning. Good morning, battery lovers, by the way. Let's use the same config so that the wires match and everything else match. I'm actually going to keep those, and I have 10 here and 30 over here. A little more weight so it can stand on its legs. It fit perfectly with GA because it was actually kind of hard to remove. It were 29Es, but they were very hard to remove. It's not all the way down, so we're gonna four screws, the same as in the rear carrier case actually. You don't have to have them, but if you have them, just go ahead and use them. Because you want the holder to be as tight as possible to actually fit the case, or you will have to start cutting away or drilling away at some of these to get it in. Yeah, I think this will be fine enough. All the screw holes are tightened, so just a quick check. Just tape them down. Yeah, no problemo. So there are of course many ways you can do this. I usually cut off all of these extra pins, which is very time consuming, and also this one holds the cells in place. So you really do not want to cut them off. So I'm gonna try a different method. Either you can go with having a bus bar over here, and you can do like fuses or nickel strip that goes into the bus bar. All of them are super complicated, so I will do ziggy-zaggy. It's very time consuming as well, but it's a simple design and it will work perfectly. But here we had, yeah, that's a wire holder, so that's supposed to be there. It's just damaged. I tried two different methods because my usual method is just cutting all of the extra plastics, plastic offs, and doing like my normal style. But today I wanted to try something different, and here I had one piece that is 180 millimeters that I folded, and it was a little bit too long, so I folded it up again. That's one way if you don't want to cut too much nickel. That is one way. To have a nice angle going, you can only spot weld on the top half of these cells, or you will get a very strange angle and it might interfere with all the pins. So it's not optimal, so I will probably go with my original thought of making about 40 pieces of nickel. These are 29 millimeters long, and just do one at a time. It will be a lot of extra spot weld, And I also have an extra one over here between the cell groups. You could also go with some kind of bus bar that you solder on or something complicated like that. But I don't think that's necessary, because electricity doesn't matter if it goes zigzag or if it goes straight. It's electricity, it doesn't care. It looks a little better if you have that, but then you have to disconnect those holder pins. And yeah, so I'm gonna do the zigzag way all the way, except for over here. Then I need something extra. So I'm not gonna show you when I spot weld, but I'm gonna show you the result. So now I'm done with the spot welding, and the zigzaggy method is the way to go. It becomes a little bit different over here, but otherwise it's zigzaggy all the way. And I'll have dual all the cell blocks. It didn't take that much extra, using like 60 pieces of these nickel strips and some custom ones over here. And I won't be doing soldering tabs. Bosch doesn't have soldering tabs, and these are not soldered on. I think they're wire bonding. So either you can cut them off, strip them, solder them, or you can just pull them off. It has one EST for each side, but when it comes to the rear carrier, it has not 2 sides, but 8 sides. So it actually has 2 sides when it's not folded. So then it makes sense, but yeah, we have a little bit of metal left we can solder on. Yes. Yes. No, that one we need to redo. So trying to keep those ones is just time consuming and silly. Why don't I do soldering tabs on this battery? I really don't think it's necessary, because these are ultra thin wires and I'm an expert on soldering fast. The original battery does not have soldering tabs, so having soldering tabs is something that can get in the way when closing it up and damaging the wires. So try to use the same placement as the other ones, so I can go through the loops. And it's not even hot. I can have my finger 1 millimeter to the solder blob, so if I can have my finger that close, then it's not really that hot. The cell won't take any damage. It won't even know that I was soldering next to it. Pre-solder all the wires, even the ones with it has a little metal on them from before, because it wasn't solder, just so that it goes extra fast. And I'll start with the black, because they're the only wire that makes any sense. See a little better. See a little better. No, not happy with that. We'll push it into the groove. That's much better. Now you can't see where it ends. That's the way to go. Then it's yellow. Good, good, good. Push it in over there. And then we have blue. And also all of them are different lengths. So if you choose the wrong one, it will be too long or too short. That's why it's good to have the original placement. Yeah, fine. A brown should be the longest one. Too much color. Nice. That one goes up there. And green. Greeny meeny. And the last one is white, that sometimes replaces red on battery packs. So let's see that all the wires are about equal slack and it will reach the BMS, no problem. And then they are twisted around these pins. Just go ahead and do that so that they do not loosen. And I hope that they are all long enough to be on this ride. Yeah, perfect. So let's go to the other side. And we're just gonna cut them off. It's the same. They go from, no, it doesn't have black, this one, because it has one wire less. So it skips the black one and goes directly to brown, green, blue, yellow, and white. It should be the same order. And they have the gray sensor over here, and it's drenched in some kind of wet non-drying silicone, that some kind of thermal paste, most likely. I call it silicone because it's so silly. And yuck. There's a pin on the BMS you have to push to get it off. And have to clean them up so there's something to solder. Just a little bit. Like 4 or 5 millimeters. Solder. So let's see exactly where they were on the end and on the end and up, about here and here. Let's go over here. So we start with the white one in reverse because we remember the white one is goes through loop. Yellow. So now these GSTs, they are too small to measure even with the tiniest of probes. So you have to do this correctly. You cannot double check the results. So please check that all the wires are about equally amount of slack. The ones in the back should have a little more, because they will be twisted around these pins a little more. Try to enjoy the Bosch design. It's complicated, but everything they do is for a reason. And if you're gonna work with Bosch batteries, so just enjoy their design and try to learn from it. So now we have those two, and now final part, let's just remove that. And here you can also see that these connections are most likely wire bonded. They're not spot welded or soldered, so that only leaves wire bonding. I don't know any other technique that can attach wires. And I made a little overhead here so I can attach them, and they have a decent amount of slack. They have the same type of screw here as all the other screws. That's nice. And an isolating plate. I'm gonna slide the BMS over. Yeah, it looks really fine. I've seen so many water damaged Bosch BMSs, so and attach that one. Don't want to over tight it, so do it very slow. And now you can cut this old stuff off. I don't know how wire bonding has any solvent or stuff like that. So just try and solder on them. And that works fine. And sometimes there's a spark when you connect the power to the Bosch BMS. That's normal. No, not this time. But it turned on all the LEDs when I connected that one. You couldn't see that. So let's connect these ones. So, and push the light or indicator. It flashes all 5 as a startup, but it's not fully charged, so I don't know why it does that. But it appears to be working, but you won't really know until you charge it. 34.8, so it's definitely not fully charged. This is kind of tricky because there is so little space. Which side? That one goes there. So now everything is connected. Oops. Slide it down. All the wires have to have the perfect amount of slack. Yes, and try the bottom from outside. Yes, it works. So here it comes. Will it charge? Shows all 5 LEDs and come on. Yeah, it charges. The accuracy of the indicator is not that good, but that's because it's not an indicator. It's more or less a supercomputer, just like on the Bosch display. It doesn't indicate the voltage, it actually indicates the remaining battery capacity, and so that's probably why it's so high. Because when we removed the old cells, they were fully charged, so it remember all the cells were fully charged. It doesn't care what voltage the new pack has, because the last time it checked the cells, it was fully charged. That's why all 5 flashed, most likely. Now it will still charge it up, and it will see, the cells have magically increased in capacity by about 100%. We must adjust capacity left, or something like that. They really have an advanced computer calculating all that. But it's charging, and it will charge for quite a while. Probably, this is a 4 amp charger, so at least 3 or 4 hours. So we will know later today if it actually succeeded. But if it starts charging, then everything should be okay. Unless you forget to spot weld some cells, then it will be unbalanced. But Bosch BMS does not care about that either. You can fix that. You can fix that. So we accept Bosch Ebike repair, even when it damaged the label, so we can't even tell what version it is. But the 400 and 500 watt hour packs always have wires, from what we know. And every time we tried it and we know the BMS is working, it is possible to repair. It's even not that difficult, especially when you're using the ziggy-zaggy method, which is really easy. And I don't think it even took 1 hour to do this. So we will probably add it to our price list, and not that expensive, maybe 250 euros, or with these cells maybe 400 euros. That's less than half of a new battery with the same capacity. So we welcome Bosch repair, because this was actually kind of fun, where nothing screwed up, right? No, nothing has screwed up yet. So now the battery is fully charged, at least according to the charger, which is turned off. Just gonna double check that it has full voltage. I don't recall what it was before. It was like 41.5. So hopefully we have succeeded. Yes, 41.6, excellent. So now the battery is done. Now we just have to close it up without damaging any of the wires. That is why it's so important that it sits in those connections. You can also check that one is a little loose. And this one has to be all the way down, or you will not be able to close it. And when you open it, you damage these ones. But you won't really damage. It has a rubber list of some kind over here that is jammed into the bottom and to the top. For these, it looks really ugly, but it's really no big deal. Yeah, just so that it's smooth. It's really hard opening this battery up without damaging anything. Usually you would want something to push these pins on, but you have to push it with like 100 kilos. Since the point of entry is over here, it would be super hard to push something that is super thin so that it flex all the way down. And so you will break most of them. But the battery also has screws as a backup. Lay it up there and click, clickety clackety, clickety clackety. And yeah, there was some damage to the bottom side as well. Just to make it smooth, because it's almost bikini season for batteries. We will add some extra water protection. We usually add these when we get batteries that have water damage. And in most cases this, or in all cases that we know of, adding a bit of electrical tape really prevents water from getting in. You could have some more fine sandpaper under here if you want to remove all those ugly burps, but our job is not to make it look good, our job is to make it work good. Yeah, sure, this person could pay twice as much to get a new battery if you didn't want that ugly tape. But it's not really that bad looking, is it? It gives it a little bit of charm, like a scar, like I've been through a battery repair and I've survived. Yeah. That's it for this repair. Go on fixing your Bosch Powerpack 500. I can see no reason why you shouldn't. It was really fun this time because everything worked out perfectly. Do the shake test as well, and don't forget to add those grooves. They are 4 and they are tiny, but they have to be there. No, that's the Shimano one. Don't want to use that. Bosch has slightly bigger. Shimano has size 9. This is T15, so it's a little bigger. Yeah, here in the end it's not perfect, so we cut it and cut and peel. Nice, huh? Try and get in there now, water. Yeah, really nice. Perfecto.